Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, coin lovers and collectors. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1971 Liberty 1-cent coin, which might just be one of the most intriguing finds for collectors out there. When you think of a penny, you probably imagine a simple, humble piece of currency. But what if I told you that a 1971 1-cent penny could be worth much more than you expect? Stick around, because in this video, I'm going to reveal why this penny, one of the most widely circulated coins, can fetch a jaw-dropping amount of money. The 1971 Liberty 1-cent coin holds a fascinating place in U.S. coin history. The design of this coin, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, is iconic and well-known. This penny was produced during a pivotal time in American history, just after the U.S. had completely transitioned away from silver in its coinage. The 1971 penny was made of copper-plated zinc, and its production was part of a larger effort to cut costs and adjust to economic changes. As you can imagine, millions of these pennies were minted, and most of them are still in circulation today. But there's one thing that sets certain 1971 pennies apart from the rest: minting errors and rarity. While most 1971 pennies are worth just 1 cent, rare versions of this coin can be worth thousands, and sometimes tens of thousands, of dollars. The reason for this lies in the errors that occurred during the minting process. You see, not all coins are created equally. During the striking process at the U.S. Mint, occasionally there are mistakes, and these mistakes can lead to significant increases in value for the coin. Let's take a closer look at some of these errors that can make the 1971 Liberty 1 cent so valuable. One of the most desirable errors to look for is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice, and as a result, part of the design appears to be doubled. For example, the lettering on the coin, such as Liberty or the year 1971, might appear thicker, doubled, or misaligned. These double die errors are highly sought after because they make the coin visually distinct and one of a kind. Imagine having a 1971 penny with a double date or lettering that could easily turn your ordinary penny into a valuable collector's item. Another type of error that can increase the value of a 1971 penny is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to be slightly off-center. If you look closely at your 1971 pennies and find one that's not properly aligned, it could be worth significantly more than face value. Off-center pennies often catch the eye of collectors due to their unique appearance, and they're not something you come across every day. In addition to these errors, another factor that contributes to the high value of a 1971 Liberty 1 cent is the coin's condition. Coins that have been well preserved over the years, without any significant wear, scratches, or discoloration, are considered more valuable. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that are in mint condition, and the 1971 penny is no exception. If you happen to find one that looks almost as if it just came off the minting press, you could be in for a serious payday. Now, you're probably wondering, just how much could a 1971 Liberty 1 cent penny be worth if it has one of these rare errors or is in exceptional condition? Well, here's the exciting part: a well-preserved 1971 penny with a minting error could be worth an incredible $42,000. That's right, $42,000 for a single penny. This is not just some small change we're talking about. This is real money that could change your life if you happen to find the right coin. So, if you're out searching through your coin collection, or even going through your spare change, make sure to keep an eye out for that 1971 Liberty 1 cent. It could be more valuable than you ever imagined. The key takeaway here is that minting errors, rarity, and condition are the things that set the valuable coins apart from the rest. With a little patience and attention to detail, you just might stumble upon a hidden gem in your coin jar. Today, we're talking about one such coin that could be sitting in your collection or perhaps in your spare change right now. We're diving into the 1975 Liberty 1 cent penny, a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance, but has the potential to be worth an extraordinary amount of money. That's right, this little penny could be worth thousands of dollars, depending on its rarity and condition. So, stick around because you'll want to hear just how much this coin could be worth. The 1975 Liberty 1 cent is part of a long-standing series of pennies featuring Abraham Lincoln, and it's a coin that many collectors have their eyes on. Most people are familiar with the classic design, but the truth is, the 1975 penny stands out for several reasons. For starters, 1975 was a crucial year in U.S. coin history. While the design of the coin remained the same, the 1975 penny was minted during a time of economic transition, and these changes would play a role in its future value. During the mid-1970s, the U.S. was going through some changes. Coins were being struck with a different composition, and this period also marked a shift in the way the U.S. Mint handled its production. While most of the 1975 pennies were produced in large numbers and are still in circulation today, some rare versions of the coin were struck with noticeable errors. And if you happen to find one of these error coins, it could mean a huge payday for you. Now, what exactly makes the 1975 Liberty 1 cent so special? There are a few key factors that come into play when determining the rarity and value of this coin. One of the biggest factors is minting errors. These errors occur when something goes wrong during the striking process, resulting in a coin that's unlike any other. And guess what? These coins are extremely valuable because they're one of a kind. The most sought-after error on the 1975 penny is known as the double die error. This occurs when the die used to stamp the image on the coin has been misaligned, causing the design to appear doubled or off-center. In the case of the 1975 penny, this could result in doubled letters, like the word Liberty, or even a doubled date. Double die errors are especially valuable because they're so rare, and they make the coin stand out as a true collector's item. So, if you find a 1975 penny with doubled text or a doubled year, you could have something worth significantly more than just 1 cent. Another error that collectors often look for is the off-center strike. This is when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or misplaced. Off-center pennies have a unique look that makes them stand out, and they are highly prized by collectors. If you're lucky enough to find a 1975 penny with an off-center strike, it could be worth much more than you think. Of course, not every 1975 penny is going to have a minting error. That's why condition plays a huge role in the value of this coin. Pennies that have been well preserved over the years, with little to no wear, are considered to be in mint condition. These coins are extremely rare because most of them have been handled and worn down over time. If you happen to come across a 1975 penny that looks as though it just came out of the minting press, you could be holding on to a valuable piece of history. So, you might be wondering, how much could a 1975 Liberty 1 cent be worth if it's in excellent condition or has a rare minting error? Well, here's the exciting part. If you have a 1975 penny with a minting error, or even one that's in pristine condition, you could potentially sell it for a staggering $37,000. That's right, $37,000 for a single penny. Imagine finding this little gem among your spare change or in your collection. If you're a coin enthusiast, this is the kind of coin you definitely want to keep an eye out for. Now, keep in mind that not all 1975 pennies will be worth this much. But if you have one with a noticeable error or in mint condition, you could be in for a significant windfall. And don't forget, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, so always keep your eyes peeled for those hidden treasures. Today we're diving into one of those coins that might just be sitting in your collection, or maybe even your spare change, the 1982 Liberty 1 cent penny. At first glance, this might seem like just another penny from the 80s, but trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye. In 1982, the U.S. Mint underwent a major shift in the materials used for minting pennies. Up until then, pennies were made of pure copper. But in 1982, the mint started experimenting with a new composition, copper-plated zinc, due to the rising cost of copper. While this change in composition is significant, it's the unique errors and minting variations that make the 1982 Liberty 1 cent penny stand out in the world of coin collecting. So, what makes the 1982 penny so special, and why do collectors go crazy for this particular year? Let's break it down. First off, 1982 marked a transitional year for the U.S. Mint. There were two different types of pennies produced that year. The first group of pennies was still made with the traditional copper composition, weighing in at about 3.11 grams, just like the pennies from previous years. However, a little later in the year, the new copper-plated zinc pennies were introduced, which weighed only about 2.5 grams. That's a significant difference in weight, and these two types of pennies were minted in the same year, which means the 1982 penny could come in two different compositions. Now, why does this matter for collectors? Well, these two variations, copper and zinc, are key to the rarity and value of the coin. The copper pennies minted in 1982 are much rarer than the zinc pennies, as most of the pennies from that year were made with the new zinc composition. But finding a 1982 copper penny in excellent condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. These coins were primarily used for everyday transactions and circulated heavily, which means most of them are in poor condition, but here's where it gets even more interesting. Some of these 1982 copper pennies were struck with minting errors, adding even more value. One of the most popular errors collectors look for is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck multiple times during the minting process, resulting in a doubled design on the coin. If you come across a 1982 penny with a doubled date or doubled lettering, you could have a truly rare piece on your hands. Another error that collectors love is the off-center strike. This occurs when the penny isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. A 1982 penny with an off-center strike looks unique and stands out in any collection, making it a highly sought-after coin. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1982 Liberty 1-cent penny. If you happen to have one of these rare copper pennies in pristine condition, or if you're lucky enough to find one with a minting error, you could be holding onto a coin that is worth a lot more than just 1 cent. In fact, some of these 1982 pennies have been known to sell for staggering amounts in the marketplace. If you have an exceptional specimen in uncirculated condition or one with a minting error, you could be looking at a value of up to $32,000. That's right, $32,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that such a small coin could hold so much value, but when you factor in rarity, condition, and those unique minting errors, the value starts to make sense. So, next time you're sorting through your coin collection, or even digging through your change jar, make sure to take a closer look at those 1982 pennies. You never know, you might just have a hidden treasure on your hands. If you spot a copper penny, or one with an interesting minting error, it could be worth thousands of dollars. I hope this video has sparked your interest in the 1982 Liberty 1-cent penny and all the exciting possibilities it holds for collectors. Today, we have an exciting find that might just be sitting in your coin jar or collection right now, the 1973 Liberty 1-cent penny. At first glance, this may seem like just another penny from the 70s, but trust me, this little coin has more to it than meets the eye. If you're a collector or someone who just loves rare finds, you'll definitely want to stay tuned because the 1973 penny could be worth a lot more than you think. Let's start by looking at the 1973 penny in context. It's a piece of American history, minted during a time of great change. The 1970s were a period of economic turmoil in the US, with inflation rising and the country in the middle of an energy crisis. But what does that have to do with the penny? Well, the 1973 penny was struck during a time when the US Mint was still using copper to create these coins. That was before the drastic shift to the copper-plated zinc pennies in the later years. As a result, most of these pennies are made from 95% copper and have a certain historical significance that collectors really appreciate. Now, we're talking about a coin that, while common in circulation back in the day, is becoming rarer and rarer to find in pristine condition. As you know, most of the pennies produced in 1973 were used in daily transactions, meaning they experienced heavy circulation. But that's where things get interesting. Finding a well-preserved, uncirculated 1973 penny is quite rare, and that's the first key factor that can make this coin more valuable. But what really gets collectors excited is the errors and variations that occurred during the minting process of the 1973 Liberty penny. You see, when coins are struck, there's always the possibility for minting errors. Whether it's a double die, off-center strike, or wrong planchet, these errors can turn an ordinary coin into a highly desirable collectible. And for the 1973 penny, there are a few variations that have caused a buzz in the numismatic world. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1973 penny is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck multiple times with slight misalignments, resulting in doubling of certain elements on the design. The most noticeable place to look for doubling is on the date or the Liberty inscription. If you find a 1973 penny with a doubled date or other doubled features, you might have a rare gem in your hands. Another error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or not properly centered. These off-center pennies are highly collectible because they're unique, and no two are exactly the same. A 1973 off-center penny can fetch a premium price, depending on how extreme the misalignment is. So, how much could you expect to get for a 1973 Liberty 1-cent penny? If you have one that's in excellent condition, or even better, if you find one with a minting error like a double die or off-center strike, you could be looking at a serious payout. Some of these pennies can be worth up to $39,000. Yes, that's $39,000 for just one penny. Imagine that. What you thought was a simple piece of copper could actually be a treasure worth more than you could have ever expected. Now, let's talk about how to spot a valuable 1973 penny. If you're hoping to cash in on one of these rare finds, the first thing to look for is the condition. A coin in mint condition, free from scratches, discoloration, or signs of heavy use, is going to be your best bet. If you find one of these coins in an uncirculated or near-perfect state, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. And, of course, if you can find a 1973 penny with a minting error, you've got a real gem on your hands. Remember, as with any collectible, rarity is what drives the value. Coins that have survived the test of time and wear are often the ones that stand out in the eyes of collectors. So, make sure to carefully inspect your 1973 pennies, especially the ones that are still in circulation or have been stashed away in a drawer for years. If you come across one that fits the bill, whether it's an error coin or just in impeccable shape, you could be looking at a pretty hefty payout. Today we're diving into something truly exciting, the 1971 Liberty 1-cent penny. If you've been into collecting for a while or even if you're new to the game, this coin may have slipped under your radar, but trust me, you'll want to keep an eye on this one. It may look like just another penny, but the 1971 penny is actually hiding some secrets that could make it worth a small fortune. Now, let's set the stage. The 1971 penny was minted during an interesting time in U.S. history. The United States was dealing with economic shifts, and the nation was just beginning to experience the effects of inflation and economic change. At the time, pennies were still made with 95% copper, which would soon be replaced by a more cost-effective formula. But that's not all. The 1971 penny was minted in huge quantities, making it somewhat common at first glance. But it's the rare, pristine examples and specific variations that collectors are after. So, what exactly makes the 1971 Liberty penny so valuable? Well, the first key factor is rarity. Most of the pennies from 1971 were in circulation for years, and over time, they became worn, damaged, and nearly impossible to find in pristine condition. That's where things get interesting. A 1971 penny in mint or near-perfect condition can be highly sought after by collectors who love coins that have survived the wear and tear of time, but here's where it gets even more intriguing: minting errors. When it comes to rare coins, errors are often what collectors are most excited about. The 1971 penny has a few minting mistakes that make it even more valuable. For example, some 1971 pennies were struck with a double die. This means that the design was impressed onto the coin multiple times, resulting in the date and other features appearing doubled. If you can find a double die 1971 penny, you're sitting on a potential treasure. Another error that can be found on some of these pennies is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in a design that's misaligned. This causes part of the image to be cut off or misplaced. Off-center coins are extremely rare and can command top dollar in the right market. Imagine finding a 1971 penny with a significant off-center error. it could be worth much more than its face value. So, how much could one of these rare 1971 pennies be worth? If you happen to have a well-preserved coin or one with a significant minting error, you could be looking at a staggering value. Believe it or not, a 1971 Liberty 1-cent penny in mint condition, or with the right error, can fetch up to $42,100. That's right, $42,100 for a single penny. Now, let's talk about how to identify these valuable coins. First and foremost, condition is key. The better the condition of your 1971 penny, the more it will be worth. Look for coins with minimal wear, no scratches, and clean features. If you come across a 1971 penny that looks like it just rolled off the minting press, you're definitely going to want to hang on to it. And, of course, if you spot any errors like double dies or off-center strikes, you've hit the jackpot. In addition to condition and errors, keep in mind that the overall demand for these coins will also affect their value. Collectors are always on the lookout for specific coins that are both rare and in excellent condition. The 1971 penny may not have been the rarest coin in its year, but the right variant or error can make it one of the most valuable pennies out there. So, if you've been stashing away pennies from the 70s or recently found a 1971 penny lying around, take a moment to inspect it closely. You could be holding onto a hidden treasure worth $42,100. That's all for today's dive into the world of rare coins. The 1971 Liberty 1-cent penny may seem like a regular penny, but as we've seen, it has the potential to be a real moneymaker for collectors. So, next time you're searching through your change or flipping through your collection, make sure to keep an eye out for this little gem. You never know when you might stumble across a rare find. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.